day 432. It is Saturday morning. It is 5:40 a.m. and we are going to do some mobility this morning. And I'm having a good morning. Apparently I slept really well. 7 hours. It's not super long, but properly deep and properly ready for the day. Hey, what can I say? I'm happy that that is the case. All right, so for those of you who are watching, my name is Toby. I am 40 years old and I train to live an active, self-sufficient and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep. I try to get between 7 and 9 hours. And I do so by minding what I eat. I try to eat within my energy balance, which is about 2,200 calories. I try to eat a lot of vegetables and fresh foods, and I try to eat 120 to 150 grams of protein in a day to support my muscle building goals, which honestly 150 is a bit on the high end, just so we're clear. It's like 2 grams almost per kilo of body weight, 1.7, 1.8. I think 100 grams of protein would be just fine as well to maintain where I'm at the moment. I do strength training with kettlebells here at home. I do conditioning training with kettlebells here at home. I go out on a run on Sunday. And I do mobility training, which is what we're going to do today. And you can follow all of my trainings in a live stream here every day. And we can talk about health, fitness, getting healthy, staying fit. And I talk about different topics related to sleep, nutrition, and strength training once in a while. This is about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I would like to feel fit, capable, and competent for life and whatever life throws at me. I have the understanding that I might live to be 70, 80, maybe 100, barring any tragedies, but that those final years might be riddled with disease and discomfort. And it would be nice to prevent some of that disease and discomfort, which we can do through different lifestyle choices, which I am actively making at the moment. So living a different life, thanks for the support, trying to live health conscious and fit, and hopefully being able to stay that way for longer. And it's an area that I'm deeply interested in because I think there's so much to do and so much fun to be had. And there's no reason age should be a reason not to. If I see what people in their 50s, 60s and 70s are doing today. The reason is I have 2 small boys, 2 kids, and I would like to be an active part of their life, but also set a good example for them in terms of what is possible in life in terms of health and fitness, and be an active part of their play and fun and sports, and help them out where necessary. Jay Hada, good morning. Thanks for dropping by and saying hi, and I appreciate you saying hello, and I hope you're doing well where you are in the world. I'm just running the introduction before I start my mobility session. This morning, feel free to step by and watch, say hi. We can talk about health, fitness, and kettlebell in the chat if you want. And otherwise, I appreciate you dropping by and saying hi this morning. Thanks for that. This is about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I would like to feel fit, capable, and competent for life, I already said. And I think it's important for us to remember that we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. Whatever our fitness journey is, remember, this person we are today is going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. So a bit of kindness is going to go a long way. There are enough people who will want to put us down. So, let's just lift ourselves up. All right? And the only way to get anything done, friends, by showing up and doing the work. So I'm going to hit the timer, and we are going to get started. And while we get started, we're going to shift our conversation from nutrition to sleep. Because I think it's going to be important to cover all 3 of the basic topics that I think we need to cover when it comes to health and fitness. I think sleep is probably the most underrated aspect of health and fitness, because the first thing we tend to jump to is exercise, right? we need to get in shape. All right, I'm going to go out for a run. I'm going to go for a jog. And in fact, there is nothing wrong with that. But it's 1/3 of the equation. The other parts being nutrition and sleep. See, we get stronger when we're asleep. We recover when we sleep. And I think people don't realize exactly the kind of impact good sleep and bad sleep can have on their health and fitness. It's just important to realize that if we do not sleep well, we cannot function well. And I'll be very honest, this is probably the topic that I am least versed in. The only thing that I'm pretty sure of is that in my experience, I have had a couple of years of poor sleep. I have now had a year or two of better sleep, and I never really cared about sleep before I turned 35. But it makes all the difference when it comes to my health and fitness. And I'll just give you a few insights about sleep off the top of my mind. And then we can move on. To the topic of exercise. Next week, there we go. All right. So, sleep is crucial for our health and well-being. If we create a lack of sleep, I think we all know the feeling of fatigue, maybe a bit of brain fog. We also maybe notice that if we don't sleep well for 1 or 2 days, we start to get the sniffles. We start to feel like we start to feel like we might be a bit under the weather. So what's happening in our body? Well, first of all, a lack of sleep can also lead to some low-grade inflammation. All right? So we're going to begin to notice that we are maybe not feeling as well as we would want to. And inside of us, our cells are not functioning optimally because they haven't been afforded the chance to recover, replenish, regenerate properly. And despite there being some continuous efforts to heal and sustain our body, the way I understand it, most of the regeneration efforts that we will experience in our body happen while we sleep. So you're making your body more susceptible to disease, compromising your immune system, because you're making it work harder and harder for no good reason, meaning that it has less resources available to work on what's really important. Alright, so we got this low-grade inflammation. And low-grade inflammation is something that we would rather not have in our bodies. Because, like I just said, it prevents our bodies from actually directing resources to the healing and regeneration where it's really necessary. Another negative side effect of a lack of sleep, we just talked about feeling tired and not feeling focused, is actually that lack of sleep. And we're going to do this one again. That lack of sleep actually actually diminishes not only the function of the prefrontal cortex, and the prefrontal cortex, something you have if you're a human being, is where you're making decisions and rationalizing about the world and thinking, and you're able to exert willpower and control over action and impulses. We'll talk about why that's important in a moment. But it doesn't only affect the ability, it actually seems to affect the structure. So in other words, you're mushing up your brain by not sleeping well. Right? I won't go that far, but it's detrimental. Okay? So you want to be able to think clearly, think fast, think on your feet, and think well. Sleeping well is going to be an important part of that. That's why we have a short fuse when we're tired, right? Or we cannot control our impulses when we're tired. We work hard, but then can't decide what to do next. So there are all kinds of symptoms that you'll see of this. You'll just say, oh, I'm tired, but actually at a granular level, it's not just that your prefrontal cortex is interrupted, it's that you're actually adversely affecting the structure of your prefrontal cortex. I'd like that to be structured well and functioning well, because that's what helps us get through life. All right, so there are a couple of things that we then understand about why sleep matters and what the negative impacts of poor sleep actually is going to be on our life. But let's see how that translates into our day-to-day application. So one of the striking insights about sleep that I found is that when people don't sleep enough or are sleep deprived, they tend to eat 20-30% more calories. This is interesting, right? As this comes back to all the talking we've done about food, nutrition, the skill of food and nutrition, where we spent quite a bit of time discussing energy balance and what that means, and that when we are at a neutral energy balance, we are maintaining our current weight, we are consuming as much energy as we use, we haven't created a surplus, so we're not gaining weight, we haven't created a deficit, so we're not losing weight, and there are certain benefits to maintaining a stable weight over extended periods of time. So, see, these things all tie nicely together. If energy balance and weight maintenance is important, means that we need to be mindful of what we eat and how much we eat to reach that objective. And the mere fact that being sleep deprived leads us to overconsume, even slightly, creating that energy surplus, means that sleep deprivation is going to work against us in trying to reach and maintain our health and fitness goals. So we have a challenge there. We've got our work cut out for us there. Yeah. We've also talked about it affecting our cognitive function. So let's look at willpower and decision making. So willpower, I'm not sure if it is a finite or an infinite resource, if it is replenishable or not. But there are days where I have the mental capacity and the mental resources to actually stand firm on my conviction to eat well, sleep well, and train well. And there are days where that is a lot harder. And you see the days where I can't turn down unhealthy snacks, where I can't turn down a big meal, I can't turn down that extra serving, are days where, in general, I have not slept very well. So there is something to be said for the idea that as it comes to being able to discipline myself in the moments where it's very necessary, having that willpower to just push through. There are a lot of factors that come into this, right? Like being on a streak, having been consistent, how I identify myself. The environment I'm in, one part of that inside of me is, am I able to exert control over my action, over my impulse? And being well rested just increases the likelihood that that's going to happen. And that also ties together, I guess, with cognitive function, the ability to think and to make choices. So it takes a bit of effort to make healthier food choices. For sure, right? We want to make sure that we decide and choose the foods, the activities that are conducive to our health goals. I'll give you an example. Say, first of all, I'm really hungry. And second of all, I'm really tired. Let's combine two stress factors here. I go into the supermarket to buy food. What do you think is going to happen? Or I am in the lunch line at work to pick my healthy lunch from the buffet. What do you think is going to happen? I am tired and I'm hungry, so I want a lot of food. I don't have the willpower to really control impulses, and as it goes, I'm not very good at making healthy choices at the moment. So what's going to happen is I am going to pick poorly. I'm going to pick things that are going to satisfy my hunger, that are going to give me a whopping amount of calories for the size of the food, and I'm going to be doing the right thing by my instincts because I am tired. I do not really want to think about or have the capacity to think about what my food should be and what my goals are. And I'm hungry, which means that my body is telling me that it wants fuel. And that I need to provide that. So there we have two factors that then lead to a slightly larger portion size, probably with a bit more of the unhealthy options than the healthy options. And my saving grace in this situation is the fact that I have a relatively robust habit of filling up my plate with greens and vegetables before adding other things. So, judging by the size and the volume on the plate, there's going to be a lot of greens and health in there. But there are probably also going to be a couple of other things in there. Or in the supermarket, probably a lot of processed snacks are going to end up in my bag. All right. So, let's see. Now, two more things about why sleep matters so much. So, a disrupted circadian rhythm, right, which is a healthy sleep cycle where we get tired as it gets darker, and we wake up with the light, more or less. A healthy sleep cycle is related to general health, but there also seem to be some links that a disrupted sleep, a disrupted circadian cycle, may be connected to some metabolic disorders, right? So I'm not saying they're causal, but there might be a contributing factor to developing any kind of metabolic disorder, probably because your body doesn't have time to recover and replenish and regenerate well, and you get this low-grade inflammation in your system, and then you also start to slightly overeat. Now we're talking 5 or 10 years down the line, you suddenly realize that you're incredibly overweight and that you're always suffering from some thing or another because of that low-grade inflammation in your system. So that's one more detrimental effect to be aware of. And just remember, it's not only that you grow stronger, but throughout the day, in your cells, junk builds up through use. That's very simple. That needs to be flushed out. And your body has a mechanism for that. Apparently, while you're sleeping, your brain cells will shrink a little bit, allowing more space for these fluids to be transported past and out of your brain. But you probably need to have a good amount of sleep and give your body enough time to actually execute on those cleansing and cleaning protocols. So, overall, sleeping well is probably going to be an easy ticket for health. If you are not sleeping well, if you are noticing that you're having some issues focusing on the road, driving, staying focused on work, task paralysis, deciding what to eat, making small decisions, thinking ahead into the future, planning ahead, experiencing high stress levels. Not saying the remedy is easy, but good sleep is probably going to help you build the resilience to take on the challenges in productive ways. So one of those challenges, right, is showing up and doing the work when it comes to health and fitness. So for example, the body regenerating and recovering from a difficult workout, so that 24 or 48 hours later, we're able to do a bit more. Good sleep is going to play a crucial part in that. And this is also where nutrition and sleep start to get together, right? Because there are certain things that we might eat that can impede or improve the quality of our sleep. So, if you think about this, we are eating and drinking coffee, caffeinated products throughout the day. We have them till well in the afternoon. And then we can't fall asleep at night because we're stressed. But is it because we're stressed, or is it because we're tired, but we've over-caffeinated throughout the day and our body doesn't metabolize caffeine enough? So we have a hard time falling asleep. Another one, interesting one to be mindful of is heavy meals at the end of the day. Because then we might sleep well, but the thing about food is that it needs to be processed, right? It needs to be burned, broken down. Parts of it need to be transported to where it's needed for fuel as a resource. So your body needs to work. If you provide it with a lot of work at night, think you're going to wake up tired or you're going to wake up rested? And the answer is pretty self-evident and obvious, right? So there are some things to consider there as well. Same thing goes not only for caffeine, but for alcohol. It's a well-documented fact that drinking alcohol before sleep, 6 to 8 hours, even 10 hours before sleep, does not help you sleep better. It might help you fall asleep, but it doesn't help you actually rest better. That's why we always feel a little bit groggy when we have just a couple of drinks or more the next day, right? So it's a cumulative effect, if you understand what I mean. All right, so you have all of that knowledge and insight now. Say, okay, I need to sleep because I get stronger when I rest. My health and well-being is adversely affected by a lack of sleep. My health and well-being will be improved if I sleep well. I lower this risk of this low-grade inflammation in my body. I protect my prefrontal cortex both in terms of function and in terms of structure. I understand that a good circadian rhythm is going to help me prevent developing metabolic conditions if I would be prone to develop those. And throughout the day, junk builds up in my brain, and a good night's sleep makes it possible to clear that junk from my brain. And in that case, sends it away, gives me a way to stay fit and healthy over time. Yeah. All right. So sleep and nutrition. If I sleep well, I'll also be able to make better food choices throughout the day, but it will also help me plan and think ahead. It will help me make sure that I can actually stick to the goals that I have set for myself. So that's what I'm thinking about health and fitness at the moment. You can let me know what you are thinking in chat as we move into the final 10 minutes. This morning we're going to do a bit of core. Soon. 30 seconds on. 5 seconds to change position with some exercises, as we've already hit 6:15 a.m. And for those of you who are watching, my name is Toby. I'm 41 years old. I train to live an active, self-sufficient, and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep, minding what I eat, and show up for some strength work, some conditioning work, mobility work, generally spending time with people I love and care about, doing things I enjoy, and trying to live a stress-free life. Oh, it doesn't always work that way. All right. Just working on that core stability that's so important when it comes to kettlebell. Something that we want to maintain through life. The ability to stand upright, to lift heavy things. And just have some simple exercises to check in on how we're doing with that. So I've got a new long form video coming up on nutrition, some of the basics. A couple of weeks I'll record one on sleep, and then we'll get back to talking about kettlebells and workouts, why that's important. To keep our body in tip-top shape for life, or for living, I should say. Oh, you gotta love the side planks. At one point, we should turn them into starfishes. Probably. But we'll get there over time. All right. Do a couple of kettlebell swings. We're going to do some suitcase deadlifts and do the kettlebell swings, hand to hand, trying to keep our body squared as it should be. Interesting. Something going on with the kettlebell there. I need to check where they stand and where they're stored. Looks like something leaked or got wet. Or maybe they're just sweating from all of the effort I'm putting in to the training. All right. Now we have two more exercises. Actually, three more exercises. Stock. Now we can call it a day. And there we have it. 6:24 a.m. We are done for today. All right, friends. I just want to say thanks for dropping by, for saying hi in the chat, for the support. For those of you watching, my name is Toby. I'm 41 years old, and I train to live an active, self-sufficient, and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep, minding what I eat, showing up for strength training, conditioning training, mobility training, spending time with people I love and care about, doing things I enjoy, and generally living a stress-free life. This is about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I want to feel fit, capable, and competent for whatever life's going to throw at me. And I realized, maybe a bit too late, but maybe right on time, that I can exert some influence over my short-term and long-term health outcomes. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to join me on the channel, subscribe, watch some of my shorts, long forms, and we can continue the conversation about life and health and fitness and what that means in today's day and age. Remember that we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on, and the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. So I'll see you tomorrow for a little pre-run chat and workout. Take care, friends. Bye.